Welcome back to my backyard snack yard. We're just out here on a quite cold October day. We haven't had any frost yet, so I do want to get ahead of that and get all my pots. I've got lots of pots. Get them all ready for cold nights ahead. I've been looking at my little wild berries. I have a little collection now of them growing in pots because they're all acid loving pots. It means they need sort of an acidic, ericaceous soil in order to grow, which my garden does not have. My garden's much more neutral than that. And a clear way of seeing what kind of soil you have is if you plant hydrangeas. I planted this really bright blue one and it slowly turned pink. And that's a sign, an indication anyhow, of the fact that my soil is very neutral. But I can still grow as many acid-loving plants as I want as long as I give them the right kind of soil. And so I grow lots of them in pots. I have these big blueberries in pots, which are turning a vibrant red right now, so autumnal and gorgeous. And of course my little wild ones. So without further ado, let me show you my little wild collection. Just one little aside, we're still picking our big main crop raspberries at the moment, in the tail end of October no less. So the first ones I've got here are Lingonberries. They produce beautiful tiny pink flowers twice a year, which then turn into these beautiful red, quite tart berries, which look like miniature cranberries, and they also taste like miniature cranberries, and they are used like miniature cranberries. I haven't got any at the moment to show you right now, but I can show you an image of them from before, and also I can show you that there are some little tiny flower buds on some of these plants. I'm not quite sure where they are at the moment, but surprisingly they want to flower now, which could be because they're meant to flower a little bit earlier, like maybe by, I think it was supposed to be done in August. But of course, because it was so cold, I'm sure the plant got a little bit confused and wanted to wait until we had sort of August-like weather. And when that never came, now it thinks that it better get those flowers going. So I think before long we'll have a few pink, beautiful flowers, and we'll see how they do. But yeah, it's really nice to have these kind of plants because they do spread very well. They grow through underground runners. So I actually had this plant here is half of what it was. I just took it. It was a great big plant and I split it into two pots. So I've got this one here and that one there. They were actually one plant that just a few weeks ago I split into two for the winter because they were just getting too tight in their pot. And that of course just means you get more. Eventually I'd like to grow like a huge barrel full of these kind of plants. And there's another one over there as well. That's the biggest one. And there's another one somewhere else too. So yeah, I've got quite a few now because I just keep splitting the plants. But yeah, it would be nice to have them all in one big barrel in a good sunny spot. I think they like lots of sunshine, but they don't want to be burnt. And so depending on the kind of temperatures you have here in the UK, we just have so much rain, so much cold at the moment that it doesn't really feel like they would ever be in danger of getting too much sun. But I suppose it can happen in the summer, so I want to bear that in mind. And with these little tiny pots, I can keep moving them. They like to be quite moist, but they want to be in well-draining soil, so it's that kind of tricky situation where you want to keep watering them, but make sure that they're not ever sitting stuck in water because then they could start rotting as well. I think their natural habitat is quite boggy and mossy. So really, really sweet plants to have though, and they do grow really well in pots. I barely feed them. I think I do it like once a year in the spring when I feed and replenish my blueberries as well. So it's just bearing in mind that they're in pots. They can't get any of their nutrition from the soil, so you have to keep them fed. But it does work very well, and they're such lovely plants to have, and they're really decorative when they're full of red berries. So I must show that to you when that happens. And I know I did see some small flower buds. I just can't see them at the moment. This little guy is a little straggler, and I planted him all on his own in this jug-like pot because I had to remove the plant that was in the pot. It was a bilberry that just grew so fast in the space of 4 months that it was completely tightly fitting into that pot, and so I had to get it out and repot it in time for winter now. So hopefully this little lingonberry will do well in this sweet little jug. So this is the bilberry that was in that jug, and you can see the before and after. I think the picture I have is from April, and then now he's grown so much. He's really sort of, they branch out, and again they also spread to underground runners, so he's also grown outwards and upwards. It's looking really lovely. He will stay evergreen. He's quite frost tolerant, but again it's just the pot that makes him more vulnerable. So I've put him in a nice sheltered position, and I hope he does well. It's a spot where I have a dahlia growing, and I never dig him up, and he comes back every year, even in the coldest of winters. So hopefully this little guy will do well as well. He has the sweetest little flowers in the spring, little tiny pink ones that look so much like miniature blueberry blossom. And then of course the berries look just like miniature blueberries as well. They have a stronger flavor than regular blueberries because it's like the whole flavor of a blueberry has been condensed down into a small packet. They also have a higher nutritional value than regular blueberries. So there's lots of positives about growing these little guys, and they're a lot easier, I think, to keep in pots just because they're smaller. I mean, I do think blueberries grow really well in pots, but so do bilberries. They're just really fun to have different little plants too. And again, it is great for a small garden. And the final very wild ones I've got in a pot are crowberries. They're very recent. I showed a video when I unpackaged them. And I've got one male, the male is over here to the right, and then two females over here, because they do need to have pollination partners, otherwise you won't get any berries. And they produce these really beautiful blackberries, which are small round things and just look a lot, I suppose, like a black Lingonberry actually, but they just have a really lovely flavor, a very fresh flavor. It just tastes like the woodlands or like heather. They're in the heather family. So really, really sweet. I'm hoping they're going to branch out. You can see this one over here has already started branching out here. So hopefully they'll all do that, and then we'll have some berries. Only the females will produce berries. The male's just there for pollination purposes. So it's just these two guys I can expect berries on. But yeah, we'll see how they do. It's gonna be fun to have them. I'm really excited to have them in this little pot here. And we don't need to have them in the greenhouse. They're so hardy again, but we are gonna keep them here just to keep them going, to keep them safe, because I'm going to baby them for the first year or two. I've just spotted one of the last red raspberries. I'll just grab it. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know your thoughts and what plants you're growing in pots. I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Here's a little bonus if you're still watching. This is a picture of a big pan of wild bilberries and lingonberries my parents picked in Denmark this summer. Imagine being able to forage for these kinds of berries.